Here in Los Angeles, 11 challengers want to oust L.A. District Attorney George Gascon. The candidates include prosecutors from his own office who want to replace him.
Crime, public safety, progressive policies, all on the ballot tonight. Fox 11's Cristy Fajardo in downtown L.A. Cristy, you just spoke with the DA.
We did. He actually met us here at Grand Park, which is just next to the criminal courts, and he tells us he's feeling pretty good. He does expect that he will need to go into a runoff. He does not expect to get 50% of the vote tonight, but he tells us he will be watching the election results at home with his family. But take a look. It is a very crowded field, as you said. He is facing 11 rivals, including some of his employees, like John McKinney and Deputy DA Jonathan Hatami, who have both been very critical of their boss. There are also judges like Deborah Archuleta and Craig Mitchell on the ballot. 4 years ago, George Gascon won in the wake of the George Floyd protests, and on a wave of support for justice reforms. He promised not to seek the death penalty, not charge minors as adults, and among other promises. But those same policies have made him the target of 2 failed recall attempts and have drawn the ire of victims' rights advocates and police unions who have blamed his policies for rising crime. Gascon, though, points out the crime rates went up around the country at the same time and are now declining in LA County, and he stands by his policies.
We're definitely running a different race. It's a race that reflects the moment, but I think at the end of the day, the basic tenets of fairness, of equality, of treating everybody with respect, of creating safety in our community in a way that is lasting, that is sustainable. I think that message is, quite frankly, the same message that we had in 2020, and we had it for this election, and we look forward, if we are fortunate enough to go into a runoff, to continue to have that conversation.
Gascon's rivals, though, are trying to make this an election a referendum on justice reform and also on Gascon's policies. Which is why it is getting national attention. This race is. As for who Gascon thinks he might be facing in a runoff, he wouldn't say. But again, he says he plans to be watching the results at home with his family. Live in downtown LA, I'm Cristy Fajardo. Let's send it back to you.
Yeah, I asked him once who would he want to run against, and he just smiled and wouldn't answer the question. And Cristy, that has been the challenge, though, with 11 contenders, to have one person separate from the rest.
It has been a challenge, and all of the, as you know, in the debate that you moderated, all of the candidates were basically running on the fact that they're not Gascon and they opposed his policies, but it was very hard for them to set themselves apart from one another because they all seem to be running on the same platform.
Yeah, they all basically said we're going to pull back or reverse all of his policies. Okay, Cristy, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.